Hi, today I'm going to be going over some subjects in anatomy and physiology. I'm going to be covering the innate immune response. So what exactly is the innate immune response? Well, it's really the first line of defense. It's always prepared, it's always there. It's your skin. It's your skin, it's your nose, it's everything that stops bad things from getting bad microorganisms from wreaking havoc in your immune system before the adaptive immune system needs to even get involved. It's the first line of defense. And there are two lines of defense in this. The external, which is the intact skin and mucus, like I already said. And then, of course, the internal, which are the antimicrobial proteins, the phagocytes, and other cells. So, going over the external defenses first, there are the surface barriers, such as your skin, the mucous membranes, and of course, your skin itself has chemical defenses, such as the acidity of your skin. It inhibits microbial growth. So your skin naturally just has a little bit of acidity to it. There's also enzymes, lysozymes, that your saliva and your mucous membranes that destroy bacteria. The mucin in your nose and stuff, in your lungs, it traps microorganisms. And then, of course, there's defensins, which are antimicrobial peptides. And then, of course, other things like lipids and dermacidin, which is toxic to bacteria. And remember, anything with the words like cidin, it means it destroys bacteria. It's kind of an antibiotic thing. Think of like penicillin and all that. Okay, so that was the external. But what happens when those fail? Well, then your internal defense has to come into play, and from there you have things in your body, specialized cells, that are ready to just get to work and take care of you and protect you from the microorganisms. One such thing that can happen is phagocytes get deployed, and those are your neutrophils, which are the most abundant white blood cells, macrophages, which are derived from the monocytes in your white blood cells, which are white blood cells called monocytes, and they're derivatives of that. And there are two kind of types of macrophages. There are the free macrophages, which kind of just look around, and they look for cellular debris and invaders. They're essentially kind of like patrolmen. They're patrol cops. They're patrolling the area, seeing what they can find, and stopping them if they need to. And then there are fixed macrophages. And they're permanent residents of specific organs, and one such example are the stellate macrophages in the liver. They're always there. They won't patrol like the free macrophages. They're just in specialized organs, ready to go. And all of these work using phagocytosis. And now what phagocytosis is shown right here in this little picture right here. So let's walk through that. So, step one, the phagocyte adheres to a pathogen or debris, so he's coming in, and so he's trying to get in. He's trying to get in, and the phagocyte's like, nope, we're going to stop that right now. And so what it does is it forms a pseudopod that eventually engulfs the particles, and it creates something called a phagosome. So it kind of just essentially creates like a little capsule, and it grabs in to itself. All right, let's see. So, and then from here you go. Here's a pseudosome. So here's a phagosome right here. And then from there, a lysosome, this guy, will fuse with the phagocytic vesicle, forming a phagolysosome. And what happens here is the acid of the lysosome has hydrolase enzymes. And what these do is these break down this harmful pathogen or debris. And it digests particles and leaves a residual body. And then what happens from here is it's got to get rid of that. It doesn't want to hold that around. So exocytosis of the vesicle removes indigestible and residual material. So it just throws it out. And that is what happens in phagocytosis. And now another type of cell found in the internal immune system are natural killer cells, or NT cells. Or NK cells, if you're reading your book. These are non-specific. They go around and they just take out any type of bacteria. They lyse and kill cancer cells and virus cells. They are a small group of large granular lymphocytes, and they also enhance the inflammatory response. And so from there, we move on to the inflammatory response. And this prevents spread of damaging agents. It disposes of cell debris and pathogens and alerts the adaptive immune system, hey, something happened, you need to deploy some more specific cells to this area to ensure that nothing bad happens. And this also sets the stage for repair. And the reason why it prevents the spread of damaging agents is because it kind of essentially closes off the area. It's kind of like when there's an accident and the cops come in and they close off the area to make sure that nobody can come to the scene or get out of the scene. It's essentially, they're there to close off the area and make sure what needs to be taken care of gets taken care of. Alright. So then another form of internal are the antimicrobial proteins. These enhance innate immune defenses by attacking microorganisms directly or hindering their ability to reproduce itself, because that's what viruses need to do. They get in your cells and they instantly need to reproduce to continue. And the one way that these things do that, the antimicrobial proteins do that, are interferons. And what these are basically warning signals from a sinking ship. They synthesize interfere. What the interferons do is they synthesize interfere, which stimulates synthesis of proteins that interfere with viral replication. So what they do is they tell the neighboring cell, hey, you need to start producing this protein to stop this virus from replicating. And the other protein is like, okay, I'm ready. And he's ready and he's prepared to fight off the virus. However, unfortunately, the cell that sent out the warning signal doesn't make it. It completely dies. Another type is complement, and there are 20 plasma proteins that circulate in the blood and provide a small mechanism for destroying foreign substances. These are the C1 through C9 factors B, D, and P, and regulatory proteins. And complement, it releases inflammatory chemicals that amplify all aspects of this whole process. They lyse and kill bacteria and other types of cells. They're non-specific, but they also can help with innate and adaptive immune systems. And there are 3 types of pathways. The classical pathway, which involves antibodies, and these antibodies bind to pathogens, and they also bind to complement components. The lectin pathway, which binds to specific sugars on the microorganism, and they also bind to the complement. And then, of course, the alternative pathway, which spontaneously activates C3 and other complement factors, and they interact on microorganism surfaces since they lack the inhibitors that our cells have to stop them from just turning on randomly. Okay, so what these do is they create a cascade. Each pathway converges at the C3. So these all were activated. So one of these were activated, they come into C3, and this initiates a common terminal pathway that enhances inflammation, phagocytosis, and cell lysis. And now, what cell lysis begins with C3b, right here, and it binds to target cell surfaces and triggers insertion of the MAC, this is MAC, which is membrane attack complex. And then finally, the last internal defense that we have is, of course, a fever. Now, we're all familiar with fevers, and the first thing we want to do is we want to break a fever and keep our body temperature down. Well, that's actually one of our innate internal defenses. So breaking a fever too early can be kind of bad, because a fever is a localized response to infection, and it can also be more widespread. And these can cause the liver and the spleen to sequester iron and zinc, which inhibits bacterial growth. So like I said before, bacteria and viruses, they need to reproduce and they need to grow in our body. However, when you have a fever, they can no longer do that. And high temperatures can also increase our metabolic rate of tissue regeneration and speed up the repair process. And in some cases, some like minor cases, your body will actually heat up enough that the bacteria itself can't continue, but that's not really. Alright, and so that is it. That is a quick rundown of the innate immune system. I hope that helped, and yeah, I hope that helped, and I hope it helped clarify a few things and helped you understand the difference between how important the innate immune response is. Okay, so thank you.